My name is Warren, and the lie that unraveled my life was tucked between the dental bill and a car insurance statement, and a filing cabinet that held the archaeology of our 15-year marriage. It was a Saturday afternoon, the kind of light that slants through windows and makes dust motes look like falling stars. My wife, Greta, was at a baby shower for a cousin. A bittersweet event for her, she'd said, kissing my cheek with a fragile smile. We'd lost our own baby, a daughter we named Lily, at 22 weeks, 3 years prior. The grief was a room in our house we learned to walk around, its door mostly closed. I was looking for the title to the lawnmower. In the household hanging file, my fingers brushed against a folder I'd never seen. A simple, beige folder. The tab read, in Greta's neat print, Lily's Fund, Meadowbrook Women's Center. My breath hitched. Meadowbrook. That was the clinic where we'd had the devastating anatomy scan, where the world had gone silent. A fund? For what? A memorial donation? She'd never mentioned it. My heart, always tender around this memory, swelled with a confused ache. Had she been quietly fundraising? Saving for a plaque? Something beautiful and private I'd intruded upon. With a reverent guilt, I opened the folder. On top was a bank statement. A separate account, at a different bank from our joint ones. Account holder, Greta Vance. The balance, $47,812.33. Recent deposits were monthly, automatic, $1,500 from our joint checking account. My income was direct deposited into that account. My confusion deepened, curling into something colder. I flipped past the statement. There was a printed list of itemized expenses, but they weren't for hospital bills or counseling. Quote, genetic counseling consult, $2,500. Specialized prenatal supplements, $1,200. Therapeutic massage series, $900. Travel and lodging for second opinions, $5,000. We'd had genetic counseling. Our insurance had covered it. Greta had taken prenatal vitamins from the drugstore. She'd never gone for a second opinion. The diagnosis at Meadowbrook had been devastatingly final. We'd gone home and held each other in the dark. A cold needle of suspicion pricked my spine. I looked at the clinic's full name again. Meadowbrook Women's Center and Fertility Clinic. We'd gone to Meadowbrook General Hospital. There was no Women's Center and Fertility Clinic attached. I opened my laptop, my fingers cold and clumsy. I Googled Meadowbrook Women's Center and Fertility Clinic, closing. The first result was an obituary for a business. A local news article from 11 years ago. Longtime clinic shuts its doors amid regulatory scrutiny. The Meadowbrook Women's Center and Fertility Clinic had closed permanently over a decade ago. 2 years before we'd even moved to this state. 7 years before Lily. The room tilted. The slanting afternoon light now felt interrogative. There was no clinic. There was a $50,000 fund named for a ghost connected to a ghost institution, funding services we never received. My wife had been systematically siphoning $1,500 of our money every month into a phantom grief fund. I closed the folder. I placed it back, exactly. My hands were steady, but my mind was a cascade of collapsing realities. This was not grief. This was architecture. But what was she building? To understand the scale of the deceit, you have to understand the landscape of our loss. Losing Lily broke something in Greta that I, despite every effort, couldn't reach. She retreated into a grief so profound it felt sacred. She stopped working at her floral design studio. She said the world was too loud, too cruel. She needed quiet. She needed to heal. I became the sole provider, the protective wall between her and a world that demanded things she couldn't give. I took on more projects at my engineering firm. I managed the house, the cooking, the logistics of life. Her grief was her full-time occupation, and I was its patron. There were rules. We couldn't try again. The risk was too great, the pain too fresh. We couldn't move. The house held Lily's spirit. We couldn't get rid of the nursery that never was. It was a shrine. Our intimacy became a quiet, careful thing, a condolence between survivors. I loved her. I was drowning in my own grief while trying to keep her afloat, but I loved her. And now, this. A secret canal diverting the river of my labor into a hidden reservoir. I didn't confront. A confrontation would be an emotional earthquake, and I was no longer sure what was real ground and what was facade. I needed to be a surveyor, a forensic engineer of this lie. I started with the bank account. Online banking passwords were shared for transparency, a rule she had insisted on years ago for our partnership. I logged into the secret account. The automatic transfers had begun 9 months after Lily's death, not in the raw immediacy of grief, but in its calculated aftermath. The deposits were relentless, $1,500, like clockwork, on the 3rd of every month. But where was it going? The statements showed no large withdrawals, no checks written to a Meadowbrook. The money just sat there, accruing modest interest. A war chest. For what? I turned to her digital life. We had an old family iPad synced to her email for recipes and Pinterest. She had forgotten to log out. I didn't search for Meadowbrook. I searched for the dollar amount. $1,500. And there it was. An email chain with a financial advisor named Martin Croft. The subject: Vance Solo Portfolio Growth and Long-Term Liquidity. Solo Portfolio. The emails were a year old. Martin, Greta, your consistent contributions are impressive. Given your stated goal of financial independence within a 5 to 7 year horizon, we should discuss shifting from the money market fund into more aggressive equity positions. Greta, Martin, let's keep it liquid and low risk for now. This is my safety net. The horizon is firm. Financial independence. 5 to 7 year horizon. Safety net. The phrases landed like blows. This wasn't a grief fund. It was an escape fund, built on the skeleton of our dead child. The horror expanded. I accessed her cloud storage. I found another folder, password protected, but the password hint was my first garden, her childhood dog. I got in. Inside were more documents, not medical, but legal. PDFs downloaded from legal websites, petition for separate maintenance, factors in determining spousal support in our state, highlighted sections about emotional distress, inability to maintain gainful employment due to trauma, length of dependency. She was building a case. Not to leave me, perhaps to be enabled to leave me, in a spectacularly funded way. The narrative was clear. Warren's wife, shattered by a tragic loss, unable to work, financially dependent. She could walk away with massive support, plus this secret $50K nest egg, all while presenting herself as a perpetual victim. The Miscarriage Fund was a ledger of suffering, meant to be presented to a judge as proof of ongoing, debilitating damage. And the closed clinic, a perfect, untraceable phantom. Who would question a grieving mother about the specific name of a fund for her lost child? It was a lie wrapped in a sacred shroud. My grief for Lily, my love for Greta, hardened into a single dense mass of cold iron in my chest. This was premeditated. This was a long con, using our daughter's memory as both the motive and the camouflage. My revenge, therefore, could not be emotional. It had to be a systemic correction. She had built a financial and legal trapdoor beneath our marriage. I would quietly remove the floor. I didn't stop the automatic transfer. That would alert her. Instead, I went to my HR department and changed the direct deposit for my paycheck. 80% would now go to a brand new secret account of my own. Only 20% hit our joint account. When the $1,500 transfer tried to pull the following month, it would overdraw the joint account. Let her explain that. I hired a gentle, no-nonsense female private investigator. Her task was not to follow Greta to a lover, but to document her debilitating grief. The investigator provided photos and report. Greta at high-end yoga retreats, paid for from where? Greta meeting friends for long, laughing lunches. Greta taking a weekly pottery class. A portrait not of a shattered woman, but of a leisured, independent one. I also had the investigator verify, officially, that the Meadowbrook Women's Center had been a shuttered building for over a decade. I got a notarized letter from the county records office. I visited the best, most merciless divorce attorney in the city, a woman named Rhodes with a reputation for eviscerating fraudulent narratives. I showed her the file, the bank statements, the emails to Martin Croft, the legal downloads, the investigator's report, the clinic closure proof. Rhodes didn't blink. She's constructed a persona for the purpose of financial extraction. This is fraud. We don't play defense. We go on offense. We drew up papers, but not for divorce, for a legal separation with a request for financial forensic audit and a temporary injunction freezing all separate assets. The petition would allege marital waste, fraudulent concealment of assets, and constructive fraud based on a fabricated medical financial narrative. The timing was everything. I waited for the overdraft notice to hit. It did. Greta came to me that evening, her face a mask of sweet, flustered confusion. "Honey, there's something wrong with the bank. My monthly donation to Lily's memorial fund didn't go through. The account is empty." I looked up from my book, my face a careful blank. "Lily's memorial fund? What fund is that, sweetheart?" She faltered. The one I set up for Meadowbrook, to help other families. I told you about it." A delicate lie, testing the waters. "Meadowbrook," I said slowly, putting my book down. "The Meadowbrook Women's Center and Fertility Clinic?" Relief flooded her features. "Yes, that's the one." "That's odd," I said, my voice dripping with gentle concern, "because I was looking into making a donation myself, in Lily's name, and I found out that clinic closed in 2012. It's been a pharmacy for 9 years. The color drained from her face so completely it was shocking. The performance vanished, leaving raw, naked panic. That can't be right. There must be a mistake. And the bank account, Greta, the Lily's Fund account, with nearly $50,000 in it, the automatic transfers from our joint account, the emails with Martin Croft about your solo portfolio and your 5 to 7 year horizon, the legal files on spousal support for the traumatized spouse. I stood up. I was taller than her. I had never felt it as a threat before. Now I let her feel it. You didn't lose a child in grief, Greta. You adopted a profession, the profession of professional griever, and I was your benefactor. You built a secret life raft with my sweat, named it after our daughter, and planned to set sail, leaving me drowning in both debt and the illusion of your suffering. She stumbled back, her mouth working, but no sound came out. The facade was not just cracked, it was vaporized. You're going to be served with papers tomorrow, I say, my voice flat and final. They are not for divorce, they're for a legal separation and a forensic audit. They will freeze that secret account and subpoena Martin Croft. They will allege fraud. You have two choices. You can fight it, in which case I will show the court everything, the closed clinic, the emails, the investigator's photos of you at yoga retreats while claiming to be homebound by grief. You will not get a cent of spousal support. You will likely be forced to repay the marital funds you diverted, and you will be exposed to everyone as a woman who monetized her own child's death. She was shaking, tears of terror now, not grief, streaming down her face. What's the other choice? she whispered. "You signed the agreement my lawyer has prepared. You get the contents of the secret account, that's your safety net. You walk away with nothing else. No spousal support. No claim to my pension, my future earnings, or the house. You agreed to an annulment based on fraud. You walk away quietly, and you never use Lily's name to manipulate anyone ever again." It was the ultimate paradox. To keep the fruit of her lie, she had to admit the tree was poison. She signed. The fight left her completely. The persona she'd lived in for years couldn't withstand the structural collapse of its foundation. She moved out within the week. The house, once a shrine to a loss she had weaponized, was suddenly starkly empty. I had the nursery that never was finally dismantled. Not with anger, but with a solemn, private ceremony of my own. I donated everything to a real charity for infant loss. Sometimes in the deep quiet, I miss Lily with an ache that is pure and true. I do not miss Greta. I miss the woman I thought she was, the partner in that grief. But that woman was a character in a play she was writing for a one-woman show. The $50,000 was the price I paid to learn the truth, the cheapest, most expensive lesson of my life. She thought she was building a fortress of grief to protect herself from the world. But she built it on a burial ground she herself had desecrated, and when the truth excavated that ground, there was nothing left for her to stand on. I am left with the clean, hard ground of reality. It is not a happy place, but it is an honest one. And in the end, after such a profound deception, honesty is the only memorial that doesn't crumble to dust in your hands.